8th, 2021 and November 22nd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 8th and November 22nd, 2021.
Second.
I have a motion by Lee, second by Ed. Any discussion?
Well, just one quick, very minor. November 8th, there's a vote about the liquor license for the farmers market, the Hoosie Dome. It just says all in favor, and then it says 4-1. So it got the number right, but the all in favor could be confusing.
Right, so it wasn't all in favor.
Right.
So can we?
So it's the minutes of November 8th. It should just say motion passed or something like that.
Well, it needs to say however all four.
It lists the vote as a roll call vote.
Okay, so we just need to remove that.
Right.
And does it say how each select board member voted? I have it from that. Okay, that's the important part. Okay. With that change, any other discussion? Roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. And thank you for Tate for getting us caught up. The minutes are very well done. They have been very well done, but we've been very far behind, and it's nice to see the select board caught up. We should set an example for everyone, not lag behind, and we finally have done that. We had reasons, but it's nice to be caught up. So select board's announcements, statements. Garfield?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, just a couple small things. One, I just wanted to remind everybody that Berkshire Grown's doing their holiday market this Saturday at the Barrington Community Center, also known as the Hoosie Dome, from 10 to 2 this Saturday. And also another fun event in Housatonic is going to be Open Studios at Muse, which is at 430 Park Street, and it's just going to be a bunch of artists showing off the space and all their work. So a couple fun things to do if you're in Housatonic this weekend. Thank you.
Ed? Lee?
Yeah, just to mention that the CPA Step 2 or CPC Step 2 applications will be due on December 17th.
Thank you. I have nothing. We'll go into the
May I back up from home? It's actually something just in general, other than the fact that this is the time of year when we should all be thinking of each other, being kind to each other. I think as a select board, we should also set an example, but please be kind to your fellow citizens. When you're in the store shopping, also please be safe, wear your mask when needed, but this is also the time of year to take care of yourself and take care of others. And I just wanted to get that out there that we need to treat each other well.
Thank you, Garfield. Mark, town manager's report.
Hey, Steve. I just have a few quick updates for you this evening. First on my list is Housatonic Waterworks and Code Red messaging. I just wanted to mention that we received complaints related to water quality from time to time, and we do pass those messages on anytime there's work being done to the system, and anytime we're aware of pending work. So what I wanted to say tonight, though, is that we also receive complaints from time to time about our messaging and the use of our Code Red system, and I just wanted to clarify that we are sharing these messages as a way to communicate with Housatonic residents on behalf of Housatonic Waterworks. So our role is limited, and we share the messages we receive when we receive them, or as soon as possible after receiving them. So that's the reason why we include Housatonic Waterworks contact information at the very tail end of those messages, and we encourage people to reach out to Housatonic Waterworks if they have concerns or questions directly. So again, we're happy to pass those messages along. And we do them as quickly as possible. But I just wanted to remind everyone that we are sharing that information to assist with our to assist our customers in Housatonic. And then my next update here is related to the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. So included in your packet for this evening was a copy of the ARPA survey and a summary of the results of that survey. And Tate Coleman's here tonight to walk you through our findings, and then we'll continue to meet as a staff committee to work on a recommendation and an executive summary to present at a later date to the board. But this is just to keep the information flowing and the conversation moving along. So that said, I'll let Tate take it from here.
Hello. Here, I should be sharing my screen. Can you see?
We can.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the survey that the town did on funds use for ARPA is what I'm going to be talking about today, and just a review of the results from that survey. So it was distributed online and in print. It was available in Spanish. There was a 21-day or so input period, and it was promoted by the town, like it was on the town website for citizens, and then it was in print at the People's Pantry. Berkshire South Regional Community Center sent it out. CHP made it available. The Senior Center distributed the survey as well, and in addition to the Berkshire Food Co-op. Okay, so the categories that we have for possible funds use. So public health programs, including vaccination, testing, contact tracing, medical expenses, and then also reducing negative economic impacts of COVID-19. So we can provide money to households for food, rent, and housing. Also money to small businesses. Additionally, the other two categories are extra pay for essential workers and funding for capital projects, for example, water, sewer, and high-speed internet projects. So I'm just going to run through some of the questions. It's included in the packet as well, but just to give some highlights. So in terms of who took our survey, 82% were residents of Great Barrington out of the respondents. So that means 18% weren't Great Barrington residents, but out of those who did not reside in Great Barrington, 1/5, so about 20%, were business owners or ran non-for-profits in Great Barrington, and 72% worked in Great Barrington. And those who weren't residents were in nearby municipalities. I think we had a couple from Pittsfield and Monterey, possibly. So we also asked what the name of the street was that the respondents lived on. So 216 out of our overall sample size was 274. So out of those, 216 Great Barrington residents gave their the name of their street. So 12.5% were Alfred Road. Then other common streets were Main Street around 6%, North Plain Road 4%, East Street also around 4%, and Castle Hill Avenue 3%. I think Barrington Place was also another one, but we had about 3%. In terms of zip codes, Great Barrington, Monterey, 01230, 68%, 18% from Housatonic, and then Pittsfield, and then 01245, which is just Monterey, got a few responses. So when we're asking if people work in Great Barrington, 56% worked in Great Barrington. Of course, a few people later on in the comments noted that they were retired. So, other people went to school in Great Barrington. So that, this is useful information, but you can only draw so much from this particular metric. So we also asked participants if they owned or operated a business or nonprofit. So 52 responses. We had 52 responses. About a fifth, 19% owned or operated a business or nonprofit in Great Barrington. So out of those 43, or about 80% were residents of Great Barrington. How has COVID affected their business? So if they owned a business, we asked this question. So just to give a general overview of how this worked. So I assigned numerical values to the answer. So very negative was 1, very positive was 5. And you can see the breakdown, like 17% very negative, somewhat negative, 27% not affected, 39%, somewhat positive, 6%, very positive, 11 to 12%. So then on average, so if we take the average of all of these, weighted average based on the percentages of who responded, businesses who responded to this survey, they were affected slightly negatively, generally. So 2.67 out of 5. So somewhere between somewhat negative and not affected. We also asked where the businesses were located. So 22% were in Housatonic, downtown Great Barrington, 18%, Stockbridge Road, 18%, and then some on South Main Street. 24% were home office. Then there were some other write-ins, home painter within the boundaries were a couple. Also, we asked for all respondents now, how has COVID affected your household? So we again used the same scale, very negative being 1, very positive being 5. As you can see, generally household who's responded, they were generally affected slightly negatively. So like 49% said slightly negative. And so it averaged out to about slightly negative. Also, we asked what would be most helpful to offset COVID-19 impacts. So they were asked to choose up to 3 responses, or 3 options, sorry. So 213 out of our 274 responded. And then here's a graph which depicts, so money for rent, utility, or mortgage was the top at 51%, then healthcare, 39%, food assistance, 38%. So the top 3 were money for, the rent, utility, mortgage, healthcare, like mental health, and then food assistance. And then we also asked, respondents to rank how the town, or like their top priorities for how the town can use the COVID relief funding. So you can see this distribution. So under fund public health programs, reduce negative economic impacts, extra pay for essential workers, fund, and then water, sewer, high-speed internet projects. So as you can see, negative economic impacts, reducing those, that was the top response category where respondents indicated that as their highest priority. So I just went through, so 46% selected this, of respondents selected this as their highest priority, 25% as their second priority. So a combined 71% indicated this, so reducing negative economic impacts as either their first or second priority. So there's widespread support for this, is what we can probably conclude based on our sample response. And then extra pay for essential workers, 14% selected as their highest priority, 38% or so as their second, but still over half indicated this category as one of their top 2 priorities. And then if we look at public health programs, 20% as their highest, 23% as their second, 44% total as first or second priority. And then, that was a typo. I'm sorry. The last category, the funding water, sewer, and high-speed internet, that was a 40% as their first or second category, with a quarter as their highest, and then 15% as the second priority. And then we also asked, this one they were asked to rank their top 5 out of these categories. So as you can see, rent, utility, mortgage, again, top. Then childcare and healthy childhood services was also one of the top ones, and drinking water projects, also extra pay for essential workers, high-speed internet projects. And then we also asked this was an optional question asking race or ethnicity. So 81% were white, responded that they were identified as white. 13% didn't answer. And then about 2% were Black or African American, 2% Asian, 1.5% Hispanic or Latino, and then 0.8% were other. All right. So that's my report. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions or comments?
Go back to 4B.
Okay, 1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4A, I think it was.
This one?
Yeah, so it's been a long time since I took a statistics class.
Yeah.
But it looks like a slight majority either were not affected or had slightly positive if you add the last 3 categories together. Right? A little over half actually, it was either didn't affect them or it was slightly positive if you combine the two. Is that right?
Let's see. So
38, 49, 55.8.
Right. I can review that. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can review it.
You don't have to do that now, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah, my apologies. But generally, I did review it. Yeah.
No problem, Tate. Anyone else? Lee?
Yeah, Tate, I want to thank you. This is just a really, really wonderful snapshot of the hard work that you've done, and I really appreciate it. I think the whole board probably does, and the town. So thank you very, very much for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tate. Mark, anything else?
No, that's it, Steve. Thank you.
Okay. Next is license and permits. It's the riveting part of the show. It's the annual license renewals. Lee, do you want to start your motions?
I do. Just 1 sec. Get all my fun stuff together.
Steve or
Yep.
Lee, we're going from the list that was emailed recently.
Yes, we're doing it by category.
Okay. So I will begin. I'm going to begin with the license for the common victualler all alcoholic license, just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yep.
So is that correct? I'm beginning there.
Correct.
Okay. So I make a motion to approve the common victualary. Could someone just say that word for me once?
No. It's
Because I'm going to say this a lot.
we're going to take all the fun out of it.
Can I abbreviate that?
Yes,
You
it's common vic.
You're just going to laugh at me.
Common Vic or the common B?
Okay, thank you. I make a motion to approve the common vic all alcoholic restaurant licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. James A. Modolo Post, 8348 VFW, Inc. GBFBP, Inc., Four Brothers Pizza. 2001, Inc., Bogey's Restaurant. Agave's Mexican Grill, LLC. AGZ Holdings, LLC, Cafe Adam. Batch 7 at 41 Inc., Manhattan Pizza. Berkshire Restaurant Group 3, Incorporated, number 10. Cove Bowling and Entertainment, Incorporated. Chrissy Farm Catering, Incorporated. ESPDM, Inc., Baba Louie's Organic Sourdough. Fiesta Bar and Grill, LLC. IE, Inc., JM Marcus, Inc., Bizen. Koi Asian Gourmet, Inc., Koi Chinese Restaurant. Kriya Visra, sorry for mispronouncing that, LLC, Asian Breeze. Manaj Raj, LLC, Aroma Bar and Grill. Manjake, Inc., GB Eats. Mooncloud, LLC. Rubner's Cafe. Schmaltz and Pfeiffer, LLC, Marketplace Kitchen Table. The East Asian Cuisine, Inc., The East Asian Restaurant, The Well Restaurant and Bar, LLC, Thornwood Inn, Three Yanks and a Limey, LLC, Miller's Pub, Triplex Management Corporation, Inc., Triplex Cinema, Wood Anchor, Inc., Prairie Well, Jicotec Mexican Restaurant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? These are all
I
roll
just have
call.
a question. I don't know what the IE Inc. is, please.
If my memory serves me correct, it's Butternut Basin.
That's correct.
Thank you.
You do this long enough, you remember these things, Garfield. It's a roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Continue, please.
I make a motion to approve the common V all alcoholic in holders licenses of the following establishments, or of the following establishment, with the condition that the applicant satisfy all staff requirements. Berkshire Pleasure Hospitality, LLC, The Barrington.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Garfield.
I do have a question.
Sure.
What are all the requirements, if you will? I don't know what they are.
Mark.
I can just speak to that. It differs based on the type of establishment. But for example, if a restaurant still needs to submit a hood inspection to the building department, we would want the license to be held until we receive that.
Okay.
So the different types of businesses have different requirements, but we will, as standard operating procedure here is that we'll hold those until every department signs off.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call vote. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. It's unanimous. Continue, please.
I make a motion to approve the Common Vic Wine and Malt Restaurant licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Berkshire Mountain Brewers Incorporated, Barrington Brewery and Restaurant. Bazillion's Fine Food Limited. Great Barrington Pizza House. Najee's Catering Incorporated. Science.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none. Roll call. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the Common Vic Wine and Malt without food license of the following establishment with the condition that the applicant satisfy all staff requirements. Mahawi Performing Arts Center, Inc.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Seeing none. Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I. Unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the retail package all alcoholic licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Big Y World Class Market, number 22. Carjack Incorporated Plaza Package. Domaney's Liquors and Fine Foods, Gorman Norton Incorporated, Guido's Quality Fruit and Produce Incorporated, Savvy Liquor Incorporated, A&B Package and Variety.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the retail package wine and malt licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Berkshire Co-op Association Incorporated, Cooperative Association Incorporated, Berkshire Food Co-op, Reubeners Cheesemongers and Grocers, LLC.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the common vic licenses of all the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. So I'm just going to read them all.
Yes, please.
2001 Incorporated, Bogey's Restaurant. I Shri 3 LLC. Agave's Mexican Grill LLC. Azteca Enterprises LLC. Taqueria Azteca. AGZ Holdings LLC, Cafe Adam. Batch 7 at 41 Incorporated, Manhattan Pizza. Hindustan Incorporated, Great Barrington, Sunoco. The Well Restaurant and Bar LLC. Shiro Restaurant Incorporated. Gorman Norton Incorporated. Najee's Catering Incorporated. Cumberland Farms Incorporated. ESPDM Incorporated, Baba Louie's Organic Sourdough. Manajra LLC, Aroma Bar and Grill. Wyandotte Country Club. JM Marcus Incorporated, Bizan. Wood Anchor Incorporated, Prairie Well. GBFBP Incorporated, Four Brothers Pizza. Fiesta Bar and Grill LLC. Korea Vis LLC, Aegean Breeze. Three Yanks and a Limey LLC, Miller's Pub. Vivaldi's Pizzeria. Chrissy Farm Catering Incorporated. The Bistro Box. Great Barrington Pizza House, Koi Asian Gourmet Incorporated, Koi Chinese Restaurant. Berkshire Mountain Breweries Incorporated, Barrington Brewery and Restaurant. Chicotal Mexican Restaurant. James A. Modolo Post, 8348, VFW Incorporated. Stockbridge Road Realty LLC, Fairfield Inn and Suites. Three is a Charm Incorporated, Windflower Inn. South Main Donuts LLC, Dunkin' Donuts. Berkshire Restaurant Group 3 Incorporated, number 10. Lipton Incorporated, Lipton Mart, number 606. Price Chopper, number 155. Savannah Liquor Incorporated, A&B Package and Variety. Berkshire Health Systems, Fairview Hospital Cafeteria. Big Y World Class Market, number 22. Matt 1926 LLC, McDonald's, number 2809. Thornwood Inn. Majake Incorporated, G Beats. Schmaltz and Pfeiffer LLC, Marketplace Kitchen Table. Reubeners Cheesemongers and Grocers LLC. The Swedish Baker. IE Incorporated. Triplex Management Incorporated. Triplex Cinema. Cove Bowling and Entertainment Incorporated. Guido's Quality Food and Produce Incorporated. Berkshire Cooperative Association Incorporated, Berkshire Food Co-op. Bazillion's Fine Food Limited. The East Asian Cuisine Incorporated, the East Asian Restaurant. Housatonic 5 and Dime, Pleasant and Maine. Moon Cloud LLC.
I have a second. I will recuse myself from Berkshire Health Systems Fairview Hospital out of an abundance of caution because I work there. I don't make money from their vending machines or in their cafeteria, but I will vote on all the rest. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Garfield?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And I, except for Berkshire Health Systems.
I make a motion to approve the weekday entertainment licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Berkshire Restaurant Group 3 Incorporated, number 10. 2001 Incorporated, Bogey's Restaurant. James A. Modolo, Post 8348, VFW Incorporated. Najee's Catering Incorporated. Fiesta Bar and Grill, LLC. Unitarian Universalist Church of South Berkshire. Mahawi Performing Arts Incorporated. Thornwood Inn. Chrissy Farm Catering Incorporated. Berkshire South Regional Community Center. Weantenuck Country Club. St. James Place. Triplex Management Incorporated. Triplex Cinema. Guthrie Center. Berkshire Cooperative Association Incorporated. Berkshire Food Co-op. Chicotel Mexican Restaurant.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. Continue, please.
I make a motion to approve the Sunday entertainment licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Mahawi Performing Arts Center Incorporated, Guthrie Center, Berkshire South Regional Community Center, 2001 Incorporated, Bogey's Restaurant, James A. Modolo, Post 8348, VFW Incorporated, Fiesta Bar and Grill, LLC, St. James Place, Triplex Management Corp. Incorporated, Triplex Cinema.
Second.
Comments or questions? Roll call vote, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the in-holders licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Berkshire Pleasure Hospitality, LLC, The Barrington. Briar Bear, LLC, Briar Cliff Motel. Kanji Incorporated, Holiday Inn Express. Thornwood Inn. Three is a Charm Incorporated, Windflower Inn. Wind in the Pines. Shamaje Incorporated, Travelodge. Stockbridge Road Realty, LLC, Fairfield Inn and Suites. Wainwright Inn, LLC, Wainwright Inn.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the amusement licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. 2001 Incorporated, Bogey's Restaurant. Berkshire Mountain Breweries Incorporated, Barrington Brewery and Restaurant.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call vote, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. Unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the motion picture licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Mahawi Performing Arts Center Incorporated, Triplex Management Corp. Incorporated, Triplex Cinema.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
unanimous. I vote aye.
I make a motion to approve the bowling license of the following establishment with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. Cove Bowling and Entertainment Incorporated.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the Class 2 licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. 7 and 23 Motor Sales, All-Star Auto Salvage LLC, Formel Auto Salvage, D.A. Dempsey Auto Sales, Drecker's Auto Body Incorporated and Mechanic, J.D. Automotive Incorporated, QJP LLC, Johnny's Garage, TireKickers.com LLC.
Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous.
I make a motion to approve the Class 3 licenses of the following establishments with the condition that the applicants satisfy all staff requirements. D.A. Dempsey Auto Sales, Drecker's Auto Body Incorporated Mechanic, QJP LLC, John's Auto Body.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and I, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. New business. Request from Peter Puchalowski, attorney for the Community Development Corporation of South Berkshire, 910 Housing, Inc., and Wayfinders, Inc., in accordance with Section 10.4.8 of the zoning bylaw for good cause extension of special permit 887-18, issued November 26, 2018, for the work in the Zone 2 of the Water Quality Protection Overlay District at 910 Main Street, Great Barrington. Explanation.
Hi,
Thank you.
this is the low and moderate income housing project at 910 Main Street. One of the inherent problems in this process is that you need all your local permits to apply for state funding, and state funding is never quick. So you come to the end of your local permits and you're still trying to get the money. At this point, we've scheduled January 13 for a closing on financing on this. The planning board has extended the 40R permit, and conservation is extending the order of conditions. The problem here is we couldn't get in the ground during the initial term of a permit because the funding takes much longer. So we ask you to extend it for a good cause, that being that the way the order of business is on this, you couldn't get to the point of exercising the permit until after it expired.
So either Chris or Mark, if we extend this for a good cause, should we put a time on it?
Steve, I'm going to open Chris's mic and see if he has any.
Yeah, I see his hand up too, so thank you.
Hi,
Go
this
ahead,
is
Chris.
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Well, I think Councilor Pusilowski's email requested a 6-month extension to the end of June of 2022. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I think your motion, if you're looking for a positive motion, would be to grant a good cause extension to June 30th, 2022.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to grant a good cause approval through June 30th, 2022. I probably messed that up, but
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Do I have a second? Discussion or questions? Seeing none, it's a roll call vote. Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Lee,
aye.
and I, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, Attorney.
Thank you.
Next is the Senior Tax Deferral Program. Promote a few people here. Let's see. Phil Orenstein is the chairman of the Finance Committee.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And okay, there I am. Can we be able to put up on the screen the packet that we provided on this topic? I could do it from my computer if you could let me do it.
Yeah, I can open your permissions to do that. I don't have it in front of me. I just have the entire packet. So you should be all set to share your screen.
All right, so hopefully this will work.
Are you seeing the share screen option?
Yep, just give me a minute. Okay. That work?
Yes.
Great. All right. Okay. All right. So a few just introductory comments. The Finance Committee has spent a considerable amount of time researching and deliberating the senior tax deferral. A great deal of this has included Vivian Orlowski, and we appreciate her and thank her for her enthusiastic advocacy on this topic. The packet, which we have in front of you, starts with a 2-page bullet point memo that provides a brief overview of the program along with our recommendation. I'll go through it briefly, and then we'll open it up for questions and discussion. There are various charts and schedules that I've provided in the packet, and we can refer to them as the group would like to. In summary, the Finance Committee supports the availability of the Senior Tax Deferral Program for Great Barrington. The key question for the town is who should be eligible for the program. In other words, what should the income eligibility test be? Who are we trying to help, and what is the cost of that assistance? A bit of history: the deferral program is state law, and it was passed in 1974. About 160 towns in the state participate in the program, while 190 do not. With the exception of some very small deferrals in Lee that happened several years ago, Berkshire towns have not used this program at all. We've had various conversations, and in particular with some of the other towns about this, and anecdotal reasons that are mentioned are for the lack of participation is the complexity and the length of the application. An important point is the need for the consent from your existing mortgage lender for the deferral. Obviously, that can be a difficult thing to obtain. Concerns over the impact of those who will inherit your home, and probably very importantly is just a lack of awareness that the program even exists. It's a bit of a mystery in certain towns. So looking at the memo, I'll go through the bullet points quickly. Like I said, the deferral program became Massachusetts law in 1974. Since that time, there have been several amendments, and there's extensive guidance that's been provided by the state on how to implement and manage the program. So the big picture there is that this is not a new program. We're not breaking any new ground here. A property tax deferral does not eliminate the tax obligation like an exemption does. Instead, it defers the payment until a time when the eligible homeowner no longer owns the home, such as when it's sold, transferred to a trust, or the death of the owner. Deferred property taxes plus interest accrued during the years of the deferment must be repaid to the city or the town at that point. The program is fairly flexible in that seniors may defer any or all a part of their taxes owed each year, provided that as long as they must continue to qualify, and the cumulative total of those deferred taxes, including the accrued interest, cannot exceed 50% of the fair cash value of the property as determined by the assessor. So that's really the key limitation on how much you can defer. Repayment of the deferred taxes and accrued interest. The state guideline on the interest is 8%, and we'll come back to that. Like I said, is due when the property is sold or the death of the owner, unless the surviving spouse continues to defer. As of the date of death, the interest accrues at 16%. That's a state law that cannot be changed. It does appear a bit onerous on paper, but that is the requirement. The state has established eligibility criteria for the deferral, and the town's legislative body, our town meeting, can elect to modify those criteria within certain limitations. In summary, the current eligibility criteria, and obviously there's extensive memorandum from the state on all of these criteria. But in summary, this criteria is you must be age 65 or older, a resident of the state for at least 10 consecutive years, and have owned the property for at least 5 years. Then there's the income test. The resident's gross income or income or gross receipts for the previous calendar year cannot exceed $20,000. And this income applies to either a couple or a single person. There are other senior tax benefits where there's separate rates for couples and singles. That is not the case for the deferral, and that's as specified by the state. And gross receipts include all income from all sources, including Social Security. There's no adjustments there. Like I said, the interest accrues at an interest rate of 8% unless it's modified. And importantly, any existing mortgage lender must consent to the deferral and the priority of the tax lien. The town would be getting a priority lien for these deferred taxes prior to the mortgage lien, so that's why the mortgage lender has to consent. And that is why it is frequently the case that they would not consent to the deferral. So number 4, as we mentioned before, Great Barrington can vote at town meeting to modify these criteria. Most importantly, that relates to the income test. The $20,000 gross income limit may be increased, and this is according to the state, it may be increased up to the income limit allowed for the circuit breaker state income tax credit for a single non-head of household. And that number as of this year is $62,000. So based on current law, the town's option is to keep it at $20,000 or increase it up to $62,000 or any point in between. Some towns, and examples are Brookline, Newton, and Sudbury, they have requested and received state legislative authority for higher income limits and lower age criteria. So they've raised the income limits to approximately 80 or 90,000 in certain cases, and lower the age criteria to 60 in certain cases. That again requires state authorization through the state legislative body. I think the finance committee took the approach that was not, we were really here to analyze our options in the current law, and any change in state law or requests for changes would be something that would be coming from the select board and town meeting. We have the option to move that interest rate to keep it at 8 or to move it at any rate below 8%. So we have a fair amount of flexibility there. So we, as some of you may know, we've spent an enormous amount of time researching this point and discussing it at great lengths over the course of various meetings at the Finance Committee. And we've taken a great deal of public input on this. In making our recommendation on the income limit, we consider a wide variety of information points, input from the community, reflecting on what we think is fair and not fair. We spent a lot of time looking at what other towns are doing, and there's a wide array of data points there, although we don't have the luxury of looking at what our neighboring towns are doing, because as I mentioned before, they're really just not participating in the program. So there's no clear track record of how Berkshire towns are approaching the income limit test. We certainly spent some time thinking about a hypothetical couple, a senior couple who are reliant on their Social Security income. And we looked at scenarios there. Obviously, everyone has different benefits in the Social Security program, so it's you have to speak very broadly. But the nationwide average benefit, that's nationwide, which so it'll vary dramatically, is about $18,600. So we pondered a couple who were both, for example, who are both receiving Social Security benefits, and that's their sole source of income. We did mention there was a different data point on the Social Security benefit that came up in a prior meeting, which was about $17,500. That's subsequently been updated, by the federal government. It's now $18,600. So so the net of all that is the Finance Committee recommendation to the Select Board is for an income limit of $35,000 and an interest rate of 4%. An important point there is the select board can make these recommendations, they can be approved at town meeting, and then we can elect in subsequent years to change those criteria. So we have flexibility to go back and change it based upon our experiences with the program. Broadly speaking, that made a fair amount of sense to the Finance Committee, given that, it's very difficult to predict how this is going to go. Some observations is that, like I said, there's very limited capability and data to quantify the need among our residents for this assistance or to predict the volume of the applicants. Again, like I said, it's a complex program and difficult to, it may be difficult to get the approval of the mortgage lender. So, typically towns have seen the applicants come in relatively small numbers. We've all been searching around for relevant data points that will help us understand the need and what makes sense in terms of how we set this test. And purely just for context, here are some facts that I would throw out there. In Great Barrington, the federally funded heating fuel assistance program actually assists about 190 members of our community, but of that number, 63 of them are seniors who own their homes. That is a totally separate federally funded program providing up to about $600 of benefits in the form of credits against fuel bills. There is a cousin of this tax deferral program, which is referred to as 41C, which the town currently provides. And that is currently providing 16 seniors with a $1,000 property tax exemption. That's a full exemption, not a deferral. So happy to come back to that, but those are a few data points. It's important to note that while the program operates under established state law, the usage of the program will require the time and resources from town staff. In particular, Sue and Ross Savori, our new assessor. And they've both been involved in our conversations and our research so far, and the implementation will require their time going forward. And in a similar vein, they continue to research various open issues on very technical issues relating to implementation. How do we deal with highly unlikely scenarios, but important to understand about what if a homeowner has an existing reverse mortgage? What if a homeowner has an existing federal tax lien? How would all that work? And we've been discussing that with Ross and Sue, and they continue to work on that. An important open point, probably from Ross's perspective, is that the implementation timetable is fairly complex in terms of if we go forward and people really want to know when they can apply, we'll probably need some guidance from him on that timetable. And it requires some research with the state. And we also have the nuance of people could apply under the old income test, and people will want to know justifiably when they can apply under the new income test to the extent it's approved at town meeting. And just one last more general point, we've all done a lot of research on this topic. There is a relatively long list of existing property tax exemption programs, mostly targeted at seniors, and they all have different eligibility criteria, different application process, different requirements. They're fairly complex. Taking a step back, I would suggest that at some future point, the town can explore ways to provide more comprehensive guidance to the seniors on how to navigate these various options. Because we wouldn't want people who otherwise would want it and would qualify just to not do so because it's way too complicated, or they don't have good vision, or they don't have good internet access, or they find it overwhelming. So I think that assistance would be helpful. And that certainly relates to all of the other senior programs that are out there to assist seniors who are having financial difficulties. So on that point, I'm going to stop. There's a lot of other information in here, but I think I'll stop to see if we have any questions, and also to let the other members of the Finance Committee make their comments if they would like to.
Any questions or comments from the select board?
Yeah, I have a few.
Yes, go ahead. And then Lee.
A little more about what it is the staff's researching. Is you expect to have answers before May, I assume, before we vote on this?
I'll take a stab at that. The answer is yes. It really shouldn't hold up what we want to do here. These are, I would describe them as very technical points, highly unlikely points. But if you asked us right now, if you asked Ross right now, if he had an applicant for the senior tax deferral who would be eligible, but at the same time had a reverse mortgage, there was a little bit of ambiguity as to the town's ability to say no to that for the obvious reasons.
Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem sending something not complete to town meeting as long as it's complete by the time it gets there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't worry about that. I think we're
okay. The staff time, did he have an estimate, Sue or Ross, about how much? I guess you don't know because you don't know how many people are applying, correct?
Yeah, I think it's unclear at this point until we have a better sense of how many people will qualify and apply. But I did open the mics for Ross and Sue if they have any comments to provide.
I'll defer to Ross on that because I think it's going to be more of his time than in my area.
Ross, you just have to unmute yourself. You're good on our end.
Sorry, how about now?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say until we actually have an applicant that comes in. I mean, I think basically the majority of the time is just verifying, the total income based on the information that we're going to require and then go ahead and processing it. I mean, it's a little bit difficult to say. I mean, only being that there's only two of us in the assessing office, but I'm sure we'll be able to handle it. I'm not overly concerned about it, but we won't know till we actually do one.
Okay. Just a couple more quick ones. If the rate changes every year, does it change for the people who already have a loan out?
No, that's a good question. It won't change for the existing deferrals when you.
If I borrow at the 4%,
right?
If somebody borrows at 4%, it stays 4% until they pay us back.
But yeah, exactly. But if that individual then elects to defer in a subsequent year, then they're locking in at that rate.
I know the number is tiny, but if somebody is not paying $25,000 or 5 people are not paying $25,000 this year, the rest of the taxpayers are making up for it. Is there quick math? I mean, I think it's pennies, right? For the other taxpayers?
I know the calculation you're referring to, and I'm just going to that table.
Yeah, I think you just passed it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I was reluctant to make that calculation because I think an important point is these are all totally made up numbers. Okay. So if we start going down the road of that calculation, which is a very legitimate question, it implies that we know what we're talking about. Okay. And we don't know how many people are going to apply for the deferral and what the deferral amount would be. So I'm just very reluctant. I mean, we could certainly do it as a follow-up. We're happy to do the math. But it implies a predictive quality to this number that really isn't there.
Okay. And then the last one's not really a question, but I'm going to throw it out now if it's okay, Steve, so that anyone who speaks can speak to it, which is, I know at the Finance Committee, you were nearly unanimous on the 4%. I think Michelle had suggested 5%. At the rate of giving Michelle a heart attack, I think I agree with her. Realtor.com has a home equity line of credit anywhere from 3.75 to 6.75. Bank rate was similar. And it just seems to me with, the Social Security has just raised the cost of living by 5%. I'm just concerned locking into 4%. I'd feel a little more comfortable with 5, but we can debate that, and anybody can comment on that as we go.
Thank you, Ed. It's going to be Lee, then Ann, then Eric. So Lee, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I mean, part of my question really was to Ross and to Sue about staff time, because, for me, it feels very complex, and, I realize that town's not a bank. And so I think about the options that seniors have, whether it's a reverse mortgage or various other options that they could see at a bank. So my thought is just really on staff resources and time. And is it something that, we have the capability and wherewithal to dive into? So that was my first question. So I realize, Ross, you pretty much don't know, but you don't seem to be too worried about this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like anytime somebody comes in for a senior exemption, we ask them to bring in, paperwork, Social Security statements, pension statements, bank statements, things along those lines. I mean, it's going to be similar to that. They'll have to bring in that information. We'll have to review it, make sure that they meet the income requirements. We can check and see, what their status is as an owner. That becomes a bit complicated. If they're in a trust and they're not the beneficiary of the trust, sometimes that can be difficult to determine ownership. And I think that could actually take more time than confirming income eligibility. Mm-hmm. But it's a process that we're going to have to go through to make sure they meet the requirements as they are outlined. And like I said, until we do one, we'll see. It depends how many we get. I mean, I don't think we're going to see that many of these things, but you never know. It doesn't seem like it's been a real popular thing in a lot of other towns, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you.
Sue Carmel, do you want to just add before I go to Ann?
I do. Thank you, Steve. I was thinking as Lee asked that question again, that really we need to ask that question of the Treasurer Collector's Office, because someone's going to have to track what these people owe us from year to year. And obviously, it's going to extend over multiple years in some cases. So I think that's something we have to consider, that it may be more complex on their end to have to track that. Yeah. And that was one of my questions or concerns is really the long-term effects of this, Mm-hmm.
Tracking it and different staff members, turnovers, different boards, different, votes. And again, because we're not a bank, I just worry, are we set up to really take this on? So thank you.
Let's go with Ann, then Eric, then Garfield.
Thank you, Steve. I guess I just wanted to comment about, I recognize it takes time to set it up and get all the systems working, but somebody could walk into our offices today or tomorrow, we're closed today, and say, I'd like to participate in this program and I meet the income eligibility and the residential eligibility. So, and it's a program that my understanding is that the state makes available to anyone who's resident of Massachusetts. So we would have to do it anyway. And so I do think, this chance to sort of explore how is it that we can make this doable is worth our time. And I guess I also just want to say a few words about how we came up with the 40,000. And I will admit I struggled with the 4% as well in terms of the interest rate, and for exactly the reasons that you noted. I mean, the 40,000 we came up with, as Phil noted, because the 20,000, even for one person who's on a very limited income, they would exceed that most likely. They would probably go above it. So we felt it wasn't going to make it possible for just about anybody to participate. And we felt that 40,000 was a good compromise between the very low state lowest maximum income limit and some of the higher limits we saw in other towns that have far more staff resources than we have, and far higher property values and median family incomes. So I just wanted to give a sense of why we came up with that. And again, we said 35, and that was 35,000, correct? So
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify that I got the 40,000 wrong. It was 35,000 was our recommendation.
Eric.
Yes, thank you. I guess I got a couple parts to my questions and concerns. So the part about the 16% that cannot be changed, that interest rate of 16%, that's basically the same rate as, say, a credit card or something, is that divided between the state and the town, or how is that? How do they come up with that number? And does that all stay to the town, or since the state says you can't change it, is the state getting a piece of that?
No, that's a good question. The state is not getting a piece of that. It's all going to the town. And I think based on the research we've done, I think that the concept is that they really want people to pay this off quickly when the homeowner passes away. It's not meant to remain in place after that point in time. So is that a high rate? Does that pop out as being quite high? I certainly agree. It's obviously, it came from a different era. But I think the main takeaway there is that the state really wants people to pay this off promptly upon the transfer of the property. It's not meant to hang around as sort of a financing option at that point.
But I guess if whoever was inherited or left the property, obviously that interest can get out of control quite quickly. And in a sense, I guess my concern would be just the imagery of the town of Great Barrington taking somebody's family property, so, which I guess goes back to me being concerned. This is a great program, and I want to help all the seniors we can. But I don't know that I want to make this the most attractive option that's out there. And I guess that as far as I'm concerned with the 4% rate, and us, and like Lee said, we're not really a bank. So at the end of the day, I also think I would feel better if we started off with a higher rate and then see how things work out. And if it's not used commonly, I just kind of worry about the imagery of, the 16% if something was to happen, and it being everybody's first choice as opposed to going to a bank and sorting that out where they could get better rates and better terms probably, so.
Well, if I can just make a brief reply point, those are very good points. I would say that, again, the 16%, we just don't have the option to change that is our understanding. From a process standpoint, it's extremely unlikely that the town will be foreclosing on anyone. It's really a case where when the property is transferred, then the recipients of the people who inherit the house or buy the house, the town has to get paid back before that transfer is effective. So that's the way I'd look at it. So it's part of the closing table there. In terms of the rates, one thing I would say is that the rate and the eligibility criteria work together, in that the lower the eligibility criteria on the income side, then the less likely that those individuals or that couple is going to be trying to arbitrage or sort of make money off the town by using the deferral program. A senior couple who are barely getting along on Social Security, it's highly unlikely that they can't get any kind of mortgage products out there. Maybe a subprime reverse mortgage, but their options will be few, if any. When you start increasing the income eligibility criteria, then you can make an argument that those couples would have more options to do things privately on their own in terms of a home equity loan or a reverse mortgage. And therefore, the possibility that they may be just sort of trading off rates with the town and their bank is more likely. So the two things kind of work together.
Okay, thank you.
Garfield?
Yes, hi, thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Finance Committee for doing the work that they've done. And I want to thank Dan for making or pointing out that this work would have to be done anyway. as far as it being so complex, being very complex. I have to admit, I don't know all the financial aspects. I look at it a lot from myself in a moral point of view and how we are as a town and the people that live in this town, have made this town, have been here a long time. We do have the resources, I think, to handle this long term. As Ann said, it has to be done. Ross says he doesn't believe it would be a big issue. I know Vivian has done some extensive homework. You can probably speak to it. I can only say that from gathering and speaking with her that this is not something that's going to cost the town a lot of money. Complexity should not be a reason for not doing something. Anything that's worth doing is usually complex and takes a little work. There's nothing good is easy. I think 4% is a great idea. Again, we are not a bank, but I think these are people that probably would not go to a bank. As I remember speaking with Stephen, I think personally, and this is again my feeling, I think I'm going to feel a lot more secure knowing that this is my town. This is backing me. They're going to stick behind me. I'm not going to worry about it like maybe at a bank. Again, I know we're not a bank, but I don't see a problem with us offering at 4%. It's very reachable. It's doable. I think you can always go up. It's harder to go down. And I think we should stick at that. And I also remember when I've watched a lot of the finance committee, I know you have recommended 35, but I know you've also spoke that you thought 35 to 40 was something that you were throwing out. And I think 40K, as you might have read in that letter, back then when they started as 20K was the barometer. Now 20K looks like 42,000 plus in 2021. So I think 40,000 isn't too much to ask. And so again, I feel it's a good program. I think it's something that we should do. I may even take advantage of it myself. I don't see it being a detriment if people want to maybe seek this out first. These are people that have lived in our town probably longest or have grown up here. I want to stay here. This makes it possible for a lot of seniors. There are other options, but some of the options may not be available to them or they're not able to take those options. This might make it easier. The paperwork that has to be done is always difficult, no matter if you're doing with Social Security or not. It always takes a little work.
Thank you, Garfield. Lee.
Thank you. Phil, could you just provide the number of a couple, both on Social Security again, what it is right now?
Well, again, it's let me be clear what that number is and what it isn't. You know,
But roughly.
all it represents is just the nationwide average benefit.
Okay.
Individual is 18,600.
Okay, per person.
So a hypothetical couple is 2 times that number. But again, we know it's always going to be different. It's going to be for a wide variety of reasons, but we're just using that as a rough starting point.
I mean, I really don't want anyone to be left behind. I would hate for seniors to feel the stress that are just barely getting by and have no place to go. So I want to make sure that we provide an ability for seniors to keep their house for that reason. But I do want to make sure that they have the best options and they're aware of the best options, that, possibly working with a bank might be better than going to the town. So I would just hope that whatever we decide, that we would be able to provide some guidance without, putting too much extra work on our tax collector and to Ross at the moment, providing guidance of some of the options, because I think there are options, and this should really be the last option. And so it's that kind of finding that sweet spot. And so I think it's the right thing to do. I'm just trying to find the sweet spot.
Vivian Orlowski, very briefly.
Thank you, Steve. I just wanted to clarify something that I interviewed assessors and associate assessors at several towns that have been doing this for a number of years. And they all stressed that the application process and reviewing the application was really very simple for them. For the applicant, it does involve clearing any other outstanding mortgages or any other trusts or things like that. But that time falls on the applicant, not on the assessor's office. So for example, the associate assessor in Newton, where they have the highest number of exemptions in the whole state, 69 exemptions, he said that it takes him about half an hour to review an application. Currently, our assessor's office reviews, according to the data from the finance committee, it reviews a number of, 16 of actual exemptions where the town forgives a certain amount of the taxes. And those applications involve having to check assets as well as income. The deferral does not check assets, it only checks income. So there's much less work for the assessor. So I agree with Ross, who seems to have a more, how to put it, realistic view of what this will mean. It could mean some extra work. I mean, there will be applications, but the fears expressed by some members of the select board really don't jibe with what other towns told me. For example, the town of Norwell, they have 11,000 people. They get between 6 and 8 applications a year. There are 2 people in the assessor's office for a town of 11,000. So they can manage with 2 people in the assessor's office. So here again, I don't think it would be an extra burden on them.
Thank you, Vivian. Garfield.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate what Vivian's saying. I think it would not be an extra burden. And the reason why I say this, it could be part of the job description, if you will. When you're giving something to do, that's your job. That's what you do.
Lee.
A question on not checking assets. So are you saying that someone could have quite a hefty amount of assets and that's not factored into this?
Ross, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think they're not looking at assets like, as far as counting your home and things along those lines. It's strictly based on income.
Right.
Total income for the property.
But if they owned other property and had other, maybe it wasn't liquid, but if they had, property elsewhere, I mean, does that take into account that they could sell off property to pay for this? This.
If it was generating income, we'd look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not the various programs for these property tax exemptions in this program. They're all unique and they all have different tests. And like Vivian said, some include assets and some don't. So it's hard to sort of figure out, it's not logical how they all kind of work together. But Vivian, it is correct that it doesn't look at assets.
Do we know if reverse mortgages look at? I'm just thinking the options for people. So do we know that the options that banks offer, do they look at assets or is it just?
Well, I'm just speculating, right? Yeah. So we don't know exactly what they're going to look at, but I would say yes, they would. And I would say that, in my opinion, we've spent a lot of time on this very extreme hypothetical scenario where an individual would have a reverse mortgage and then also seek a deferral. I don't think that would happen, and it's not particularly. Again, it's extremely unlikely. I don't know if that, maybe you weren't asking that, but I think that's also a relevant point.
So it seems to me, I'm in favor of the senior tax deferral. I think we already offer it, but I think we should publicize it, and I think we should change the parameters. And I think starting at an area where we're comfortable so that we're not inundated, which I don't think we would be anyways. The 35,000 makes sense. The finance committee did a lot of work, and I respect the 4%. I'd probably be more comfortable with 5%, but I respect that. What we're doing tonight, if we so choose, is to make a recommendation, accept their recommendation and send it to the town meeting. And ultimately the taxpayers are the one who's going to vote on this. So I was at almost all the finance committee meetings, and this was well thought out. So do I have a motion from someone?
Can I say something before Lee makes the
Yes,
motion?
and then Garfield's got his hand up, so yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, you want just Garfield first?
No, you can go ahead.
It's just because I've heard it from three of us. I kind of agree with Lee. I want us to be the last resort, which is why I prefer 5%. So if a 4% motion is given and fails, I will be supporting a 5% motion. So I don't know how Lee wants to do it.
Yeah. Is this a discussion or are we voting?
We can discuss.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling the same urge to go for 5% and just to say to start with something because it can always be changed. But I'm comfortable going with the finance committee recommendation. But my gut reaction is to kind of play it safe at least for 1 year so we get a sense if we're close to the sweet spot and adjusting it. So that's my inclination, but. There is I think there's a motion. Was yours a motion, Steve, for 4%?
No, there hasn't been a motion.
Oh, we're still in discussion. Okay.
Yep. Garfield has his hand up, so I'll let Garfield go.
I just feel adamantly that 4% would be fine. I don't see why we need to tax these people on 1 more percent. 4%, I think, is not unreasonable. It's not too low. Again, like everything else works in this world, if it's too low, it will go up, just like everything else. Nothing goes down. So let's start at the base. And then again, as when you go to the grocery store, what you bought meat for last week costs more this week. So let's look at it that way. Let's look at it as 4% to start. And if we need to, we can go higher, as everything else does in the world.
It seems like there are 3 of us who like 5% and 1 who would have liked it had the finance committee said it. So
Eric, I'm curious about Eric's quiet. I don't want you to get away from this. Put you on the hot
No,
seat.
I guess the way I would look at it is I would feel good if we started it this year at 5%, I would say. And like all things in banking and in loans, they do fluctuate. They do go up, they do go down. I'm on the cautionary side. I would like to ease in with this. I'm good with the 35%. I would feel better if it was at 5%, to be honest with you.
So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we set the terms at the finance committee, said we'll amend the or leave the 4% as is and make the 35,000, 40,000.
Okay, so Garfield's recommendation is 40,000 and 4%. Do I have a second? I do not hear a second. Do I have another motion?
You want to do it, Lee?
Sure. I make a motion for the senior tax referral to set a rate at 5% with the income limit at $35,000.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it for discussion. I wouldn't have a problem with 40, which is keeping up with inflation. I don't know how others feel.
Well, we'll find out when we vote, won't we?
I guess I'd hate to vote this. Does anybody want to say if they would prefer?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to make it so it helps. So I don't want to say it's so low that it's not helpful. So I guess, could I ask Philip 35%, I mean, or $35,000? Is that not, again, I don't want to make it the engine eligible.
Again, we're
yeah.
We had these conversations in the finance committee.
Yeah.
We're sort of walking around in the dark a bit. I mean, again, I wouldn't focus you might be thinking about 2 times 18,600.
Yeah.
The reality is that, you and I are not receiving the benefits, so we don't know, but you'll typically have the one individual of a married couple receiving the full benefit, and then the spouse may be receiving a smaller benefit. So I only say that just so to make it less significant, the 2 times 18,600. That is just a very broad guideline as what what Social Security benefits are.
The reason I'm leaning towards 40 is because that's the cost of living from when it was 20 would now be 40. I'll vote yes for whatever you propose?
Yeah, so I'd like,
Hold on, I had my hand up before you leave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, I will state, as Lee just noted, she said she doesn't want to make it so people can't use the benefit. So, and I'm saying, well, let's make it so they can and make it a 4%. I don't know why we're getting hung up thinking we're a bank. We're not a bank. We know that. Let's think of people. And Lee, I'll say it, I'm very surprised at you that's what you say, because this is a people issue. And I'm thinking people. And I think 4% makes it much easier for people. So I'm very surprised at that.
So I think there's a balance, Garfield, between the town and the people. And I do not think that 5 is so onerous or 35 is so onerous that it would discourage people. And I think, to be honest, after listening to the finance committee, with all due respect, they were walking around in the dark for 3 or 4 meetings. They did their best, and it was very good. But they will be the first ones to tell you that it's not all scientific. It's just things, Phil, would you agree with that?
No, I thank you. I would definitely agree. I mean, the key is, in a perfect world, we would have, a full spreadsheet of all of the incomes of our residents who are senior citizens, and we can make a very scientific assessment of who we wanted to help and who we felt shouldn't be eligible for the program. But we don't have that information available. So that's why we're trying to be open and honest where we're walking around in the dark. I mean, and it's important. One last thing, and I'll shut up, is I think we always had sort of a overriding tone in our conversation that, hey, we don't know how this is going to work. We don't know the interest in the program. So why don't we do it for a year at some middle of the range type of criteria and see how that goes. I think if we have specific information of a list of seniors who applied and were just over our eligibility criteria, then my sense is we would all support modifying the criteria to help those people out. We're not trying to, cut people off who need the help. We're trying to
absolutely
understand where the need is. And we sort of have to start somewhere, and that's how we got to our recommendation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. Lee?
So I absolutely agree. I think we need to start somewhere, and by all means, I think we need to make this something that will help people. So, and it's really that kind of going between two stools until we have the data. And I think, once this starts, we'll be able to get a good sense of, are we losing people because of $5,000 or a percentage point? So I would like to withdraw my motion, though, and make a new motion if the...
I'll withdraw the second. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Lee.
I'd like to make a motion that we set a 5% interest rate with a $40,000 income limit.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none?
Hold on. What is... I'm not quite sure how I would vote if I agree with half of this, the Lee's edict, if you will. How does that? I don't know how to work that.
You can't vote in a half, so you'd either say it's a good compromise, I'll vote for it, or you say I'm still not comfortable and you vote against it.
Okay, thank you.
That's how I would look at it.
Okay.
Okay. Did we lose Ed?
Well, I'm here. My battery's dying. I'm trying to plug it in.
Okay, good. As long as I still have you there. So roll call vote. So, and this is at 40 at 5%. Just so everyone's clear. Garfield.
No.
Eric.
Aye.
Ed.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And no, it passes 3-2. So it does pass. Thank you very much, everyone. Good spirited debate. Okay, next we have the Housatonic Committee. We promote some people here.